I'm sure by now you've seen the He Gets Us commercials, depicting modern-day examples of how Jesus might have responded to situations we face. Jesus invited everyone to sit at his table. Jesus loved his enemies. These are powerful, and I admire the heart behind the movement. Hey there! Are you a Christian woman who's ready to strengthen your faith and stop the madness in your mind? The worry, doubt, anxiety. Do you want something more for your life but are not sure where to even begin? You've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Kristin Campbell. I'm excited that you're here as we journey together to discover mindset renewal and empowered faith for the Christian woman. Today, I want us to look closer at this He Gets Us, like really close. It's time to take this movement to a deeply personal, private level in our own hearts, to look at how and why this matters. And I hope it helps bring a deeper significance to the celebration of Jesus' birth next week. Let's dive in. I guess it's best to start at the beginning. Maybe not Genesis right now, but Old Testament for sure. Throughout the Old Testament, God's chosen people, the Israelites, were making a mess of things, as all humans tend to do. No judging. And through it, God promises them a Messiah, a king that will deliver them, a chosen one to end the suffering that they knew so well. And there was a hope and excitement stirring in the Israelites. Priests would study the scriptures and they longed to see their deliverer come. And then a baby is born to a quote-unquote virgin in a stable. And this child is proclaimed to be the promised king, the Messiah, the Savior of the world. I mean, could you imagine? Would you have your doubts? I would. If I'm an Israelite back then waiting on a king, a savior, well, a baby isn't what I'm expecting. And it wasn't what most Israelites were expecting either. And they missed it to the point of crucifying Jesus. And some, sadly, still miss it today. But why? Why a baby to a virgin in a stable? I mean, it's not as if Jesus wasn't capable of coming down in all his glory. He was ruling beside his Father in heaven. He had the power and the dominion and the glory. Philippians 2:7 tells us he gave that up, his divine privilege, making himself nothing, becoming a servant made in human likeness. It would have been easier, I think, to just split open the heavens and come down in blazing glory and everyone would just bow down and worship. Easier, probably, but it would not be love. 1 John 4:8 tells us God is love. He's not just loving, he is love. 1 Corinthians 13, you know this as the popular chapter that people read at weddings, tells us love, God, does not demand its own way. For love to be love, there must be choice and sacrifice. Romans 5:8 says, "But God showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners." God sacrificed his only Son in love to give us the choice to follow him or not. Yet still, why a baby? Why go through depending on others for survival, learning to walk, potty training, working as a carpenter, having to deal with siblings, puberty, friendships, betrayal, loss? Well, remember the He Gets Us movement? That's why. There is nothing you feel or experience that Jesus cannot relate to on a deep and personal level. Yes, the exact logistics will be different, but the pain, the joy, the betrayal, the loss, the confusion, the anxiety. Do you know that Jesus sweat blood in the garden in anticipation of dying? Yeah, Jesus gets us, all of us, in every situation, especially the ugly, the "I hope no one ever finds out about this" situations. And he did it intentionally. John 1:1 tells us, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Jesus was there at the start of it all. He knew what God's plan for salvation was. He knew he was to be crucified. He knew many would reject him. He knew it all. And in love, because he is love, he chose to sacrifice. He chose to become intimately familiar with our humanness, not to shame us, but to help us, to deliver us. Hebrews 4:14-16 says this, "So then, since we have a great high priest who has entered heaven, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold firmly to what we believe. This high priest of ours understands our weaknesses, for he faced all of the same testings we do, yet he did not sin. So let us come boldly to the throne of our gracious God. There we will receive his mercy. We will find grace to help us when we need it most." Because he understands our weaknesses, our humanness. It's because of that he offers us mercy and grace to help us when we need it. He understands all the weaknesses. He understands the limits to our flesh, to our minds, to our emotions. And he still offers help, mercy, grace, love, if you choose him. As you prepare to celebrate Christmas, Christ's birth, I hope you remember the sacrifice he made to be born a baby, to live as a human, to die on the cross, be raised again to his rightful divine throne in heaven, all in love for you, so you personally would understand that he understands. He was born for you. He lived for you. He died for you. He rose from the dead for you. He waits for you to join him in heaven. That's something to truly celebrate. Merry Christmas. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I hope you walked away a little stronger in your faith and freer in your mind. You are so loved. If you like this episode, share it with a friend. Leave your ratings and reviews, and engage with me on social media. I'd love to hear from you.